Hello everyone, and welcome back to my ongoing series of Solidworks basics. Today I would like to talk to you about linear and circular sketch patterns. Basically, that allows you to take one feature that you've drawn and put it all over a piece in some kind of repeating pattern, such as what you see here on this grid plate, or perhaps bolt hole circles like this. This is a fantastic tool. I use it all the time, and it's really quick to learn. So let me show you how we start these parts from the beginning. I'm going to go back to our grid plate that I showed you a second ago, and I'm going to come to my fresh sketch over here, and let's see, I'm going to choose a corner rectangle. I'm going to snap to my origin. I'm going to come way out here. Actually, I want to show you a quick thing. Let's say I make this about that size. My square that I actually want is 8 inches square. This is coming in at a little over 5 inches. If I just type in 8 inches when there's a really large difference between the two measurements, the beginning measurement and the one that you type in, it tends to keep the same aspect ratio on the part. So if you're way off on your scale, it really doesn't matter. And I'll come back down here and say 8 inches there as well. Now, I've shown that you can pivot as well using your scroll wheel. I'm going to get normal to that view again using my orientation view. One thing I didn't tell you in my very first video that I probably should have is you can hold down the control key on your keyboard and then click your scroll wheel, and you drag it around just in one plane. So I can pivot it, I can drag it in one plane. That's not important to this particular thing, I just thought it needed to be covered. Now I'm going to come in here to extruded boss base, and I'm going to say that's 1 inch thick. That seems like a decent size. I don't actually remember what I put in the other one. Alright, now let's move on to the pattern part of this. First thing I'm going to do is actually put use the hole wizard to put a single hole onto this face right here, and I'm going to make that a tapped hole. There we go. We'll call it a 1/4 through all. This is everything that we covered in the last video. I'm going to come to positions, and I'm going to click that face. I could easily put all 49 of the holes that I had drawn on that grid plate on this piece, but I could also save myself a lot of time having to dimension and place each of those 49 holes by just doing this linear pattern. So I'm going to use my Smart Dimension tool and place the first hole 1 inch in from each edge. And now when I click the green check marks, I end up with my one singular hole. Now I can come up here to linear pattern. This is also in the features tab. This is the standard interface, just like I was in the last video. So I'm going to come up to the linear pattern. It asks for spacing. So in this case, I want the dimensions to be 1 inch in between. It's defaulting to the number of instances that I had last time, which is 7. And it's asking for direction. So you can click features or faces or even planes to get this. And this bit is a little bit confusing at first, because if I were to click this face, it would put my linear pattern going up off of that face. So what I really need to do is click this face here, and you can see it spreads out my holes in that direction. And then you also have a direction 2. So you can choose a separate spacing here. So in this case I want a grid I want 1 inch spacing just like I have up here, and I want 7 holes so that I'll have an even spacing. And now for direction 2, I choose this face, and it will put all of my holes there. Now there is no doubt in my mind that this was way faster than laying out all 49 of these holes and having to use Smart Dimension to put each one in its place in the hole wizard. I don't think anyone can argue about that. If we look at my other part, the pipe flange, I want to point out another couple of little things that might get buried in this video. It's not just about the hole wizard and the circular pattern in this case. I drew this part, as you can see from the tree, I drew it as several different extrudes. So I have my first one that shows the body of the flange, then there's this little boss there that if this was actually a pipe flange, this would usually fit inside of a mating part to locate it, keep it from slipping around. Then I actually had a cut extrude to do the hole in the middle and a slightly larger cut extrude to do this recess. And then I've got my hole that I did in the hole wizard and the circular pattern that you're going to see in a moment. Let me open up a new file, and I'm going to show you a slightly different way that you could do this. So I'm going to go to my Sketch tab. I'm going to click Sketch. We'll do this on the front plane, why not? First thing I'm going to do is click the drop down next to Line, and I'm going to put my center line, and I'm just going to draw a center line that's right about there. Hit escape to get out of that. Center lines do not have to be fully defined, so I don't have to worry about that little blue dot up there. So now I'm going to do the rest of this as a revolve. I'm going to start down here, and I know my part it's probably going to be something shaped like this. I'm doing this pretty quickly because I don't have to be very accurate here. This is what it looks like in cross section, and then I can Smart Dimension everything from these lines. So I know that, for instance, that feature on the radius is only 1.5 inches away from the center. That was a 3-inch diameter cut. This one was 3.5, so that would be 1.75 inches on the radius. This one up here was 6 inches, which I know is 3 inches. I don't have to do any complex math for that. If I did have to do some complex math, I know that this one's 8 inches, but if I didn't, if it was some oddball number like 8 5/8, I could type in 8.625 divided by 2, and it will do my math for me. You can actually get pretty complicated in the math. You can even add parentheses and all sorts of stuff. You can type in any math formula in there, as far as I know, and it will do the math for you. I don't want that to be 8 5/8, though. I want it to be just 8. Oops, nope. I want it to be 4 inches. Okay. So then we also have, let's see, I don't remember what I used for my dimensions here. I'm going to say that's 3/4. Oh, not 75 inches, 0.75 inches. There's a big difference there. We'll make this one 1 inch. And then, let's see, we'll make that be 0.75 as well. There we go. So like I said, I can tilt this around, or if I wanted to, I could click my control key and I can drag it all in one plane. This is very handy to recenter the drawing on your sheet here. So I could really just drag it anywhere I wanted to. I could come down here where you know, your like and subscribe buttons would be somewhere down there, I think. Anyway, let's go ahead and go to Features. I'm going to click Revolve Boss Base, and it's going to assume I want to use that center line. So bam, now I've got my whole pipe flange, really zoomed in I might add, and I only had to do one operation instead of 4 different operations. I had 1 extrude, 2 extrudes, and then 2 different cuts for these guys. Now I'm going to put my hole in here with my hole wizard, and in this case I just want to choose actually I just want a regular hole, just like this, and a lot of this is already carrying over from when I made my sample part. I want it to be 9/16 of an inch in diameter. That would be a clearance hole for a 1/2 inch bolt. I want it to go through everything. So now I can go to Positions. I'm going to choose the face, and then rather than snapping it vertical over the origin, I want to show you something. It's going to be somewhere in here on the finish, but I'm going to put it a little off center. And the reason is because of Smart Dimension. Now everything has to be oriented to the origin, and I know that this is going to be 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches up that way. But when you snap something to the origin, it is difficult to put in the second orientation because there's no distance between the origin point and the point where your hole actually is. So I usually put it a little bit off center, so then I can drag my mouse down and get this measurement here, and from there I can just type 0. Then it'll snap it above the origin. It'll be nice and centered. That is something that a lot of people, they fall into that little trap of snapping it right above the origin, and then they get into a pickle because they can't fully define the sketch at that point. So now I'm going to go back. Actually, I need to click my green check marks. It's going to give me my hole. There it is. Yay. Then I'm going to choose this again. I'm going to choose the drop down under linear pattern, and you have all of these options. The one I want to choose this time is circular pattern. It's going to assume that you want to make the pattern out of the last feature that you made. If you want to choose something different from the tree, you could come up here and choose whatever feature you want. It's also going to ask you how many degrees you want to move around in the pattern. In this case, I do want 360 degrees. I want 6 instances, which is left over from when I made my sample part. And up here, it's asking for the direction. Just like in the other part, you can choose any face or plane, but things get a little wonky with circular patterns. So you have to choose a circular face like this, and then it plops them all out there. I think if I delete that face, I'm not sure if I click this outer face what it'll look like. It still does it. Okay, so you can choose any of those circular faces and it'll make your pattern around the center point. I should be able to click go, and now I've got my finished part, and a lot of lag. Now I want to show you this other part I did, and this is just a couple of extrusions. I did one for the outside and then an extruded cut to turn it into a tube, and I've got a sketch right here of 3 different holes, and I'm in that sketch. I'm going to come to Features, I'm going to hit Extruded Cut. I'm in through all, only one direction though. You do have the option of several different varieties there, but I only want it to go through one direction because I'm going to do a circular pattern around the radius. So I'm going to click that. Now I've got the 3 holes coming out that one side. And if I do a circular pattern here, I want 360 degrees, I want 6 instances, and for the direction I'm going to go to my tree and I'm looking for a plane. I'm going to do this about the front plane, and then it gives me a radial pattern like that. This could be some kind of drain filter. I don't know what you would call it. There's no such thing as a typical part, but you see this kind of pattern a lot. And that's why I called it the holiest of tubes. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions about this or any other SolidWorks or machining topics, let me know down in the comments. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.